Hey everybody, welcome back to Listography. Jason here with Joe and Kramzer, and we are starting a new decade in our Albums of the Year countdown, the series in which we each choose our 5 favorite albums from every year, starting in 1965. It's 2010, and these are our Albums of the Year. All right, so 2010, not a whole lot going on as far as music news goes. Soundgarden announced their reunion. There's a We Are the World remake, which benefits the victims of the earthquake in Haiti, that premieres during the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics. The Red Hot Chili Peppers debut their new guitarist, Josh Klinghoffer. Jim Morrison is posthumously pardoned for an incident when relating to indecent exposure. He was sentenced to 6 months. The biggest selling album of the year is Recovery by Eminem. And the top 5 songs of the year are TikTok by Kesha, Need You Now by Lady Antebellum, Hey Soul Sister by Train, California Girls by Katy Perry, and OMG by Usher featuring Will I Am. So yeah, that's about it. Not a whole lot else to talk about as far as the pop world, but interested to see what you guys picked for your favorite albums. Cram, you are up first.
Yeah, I am up first. Just give me a minute to keep my breakfast down. I totally forgot about that Train song. It is just a terrible song. Can't stand it, but I'll be all right. 2010, pretty loaded year for me. I've got a lot of 4.5s, a couple of 5s, lots of 4s. Yeah, I think this year's stacked. Even looking at like some of my 3.5s, I'm like, maybe those should be 4s. But ones that I'll narrow it down, just the ones that got close but didn't get in for me are going to be Champ by Tokyo Police Club, High Violet by The National, and the last spot was such a chore. I really wanted to get them in, but The Drums by The Drums not making it. So yeah, High Violet by The National, not my favorite National album, but they get mentioned in the comments a lot about like, well, you guys don't like The National. Yeah, man, we only talk about our 5 favorite every year, and they're just not quite there for me. But they might have a shot again later in this decade. We'll see. So here's what I've got. Got a bunch of familiar names here. I've got Lisbon by The Walkmen getting in. I've got Forgiveness Rock Record by Broken Social Scene. So all of their stuff has been on my list. Fizzle Bomber, if you're out there, I got Foals on this list, man. You left weeks ago. Total Life Forever by Foals. Love this album. And then I've got one that no one else really likes, but I don't just like, but I love. I've got Interpol by Interpol, considered by a lot of Interpol fans to be one of their worst albums, but it's just a huge question mark. It's an enigma to me how this album doesn't get the love. But my winner is an artist that I've loved their output up until now, and they finally get the win. It's going to be The Suburbs by Arcade Fire. This is just a giant, sprawling, like epic album. It's definitely, up until this point, they're like musically just creative masterpiece. There's a lot of different kind of styles and a lot of different avenues they take, and just a lot of really good, cool moments of detail, like Empty Room, just like that vicious, vibrant, like string arrangement before it. And then it's got like that heavy punk beat, and Month of May is kind of punky, but then you've got these really beautiful like little pop gems, like indie pop gems with like piano, like We Used to Wait, 80s sounding stuff like Sprawl and Half Light. Modern Man is almost like a 70s-ish kind of like lo-fi rocker. It's got so much cool stuff on it, but just the album itself has a really cool, like, it's not a direct story, but just the commentary on like the suburbs makes it seem like this massive epic tale, but also like this really intimate saga. Brilliant lyrically. I think that everyone kind of has their moment to shine on here, which I really like. Not a bad song. There's 16 tracks on it, and it just kind of flies by. It's an amazing album. Won't say it's my favorite Arcade Fire album. Maybe it is. It is kind of sad to me. I love Arcade Fire, but I don't think anything they released after this comes up to the first three. Not even close, unfortunately. But I think this is a great one to start with. If you don't know Arcade Fire, Funeral might be a little bit kind of raw and a little bit high-spirited. This one is like just really methodical in the way they lay out this album. The songs are just brilliantly crafted. It's just crafted so well. It's the best way I can put it. It's going to be The Suburbs by Arcade Fire, starting off the decade with a win that, just because of their competition in 04 with Funeral and 07 with Neon Bible, this is their time to shine. They get the win.
Did they even get a nomination for you in those 2 years?
Yeah. I nominated Funeral and Neon Bible, and they were all probably second or third that year.
Okay. I must just not have been paying attention to your picks those years. So, because everyone kept complaining that they weren't on the list. They've been on the list a bunch of times. Commenters. We love you. Kramzer, of course, said this is one of the best years. So obviously, I think it is one of the worst. Just a terrible year for the most part. There's some stuff on here. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. These years, 2007 was another one where everyone's just like, this is the best year ever. And just nothing really hits for me. I have a lot of 4 stars, including many of the heavy hitters that people complain about in the comments, like Spoon with Transference. Another one from them that's just like, I like it a lot, but it's just missing something to put it in my top 5. Teenage Fan Club with Shadows, another 4-star performance for them. Good album. Cody and Cambria, Year of the Black Rainbow, 4 stars. Not their best. Justin Townes Earl, who I never really listened to until this year when I listened to his father's tribute album to him, JT, but I went back and decided to listen to Justin Townes Earl stuff. And Harlem River Blues, really good album. Liked it a lot more than I thought I would, I guess. I just discounted Justin Townes Earl, but good album. Doesn't quite make the list, though. Suburbs by Arcade Fire just misses. And The Union by Elton John and Leon Russell, I think is really good. I saw them on tour, and I think it's probably my favorite Elton John outside of his classic period. I think it's really good. And I think Leon Russell's songwriting really helps. Top 5, though, is going to be making their debut on my list and in real life, Ghost with Opus Eponymous. It's like Blue Oyster Cult if they were like really obsessed with Satan. It's metal, but it's kind of like poppy, fun metal, as long as you can, overlook the Satan worshiping stuff. Also on my list, probably most people think this would be my winner, but it's not. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. I like it. I love the singles. I think using 21st Century Schizoid Man in a sample was brilliant. Power might be my favorite song by Kanye West, but it's kind of the end of fun Kanye. Like, I miss his humor and sort of his good-naturedness. Not on this album at all. He's really serious. So I like it, but it just doesn't quite hit the highs that his 2000s aughts stuff did. Also on my list, I got Airtight's Revenge from Bilal. Just like a neo-soul, but a little more progressive. Some real cool singing and arrangements on it. Also on my list, Iron Maiden back again for the first time since 1988. That is a big frickin' time span. With The Final Frontier, my favorite since 1988. Just classic Maiden. Lots of twin guitar attacks. A lot of spacey lyrics. So, good album by them in a not so great year. But my winner, Jason was right on the money, or should I say Monet, because the winner is Janelle Monáe with The Ark Android. An awesome kind of perfectly made for Joe kind of album. Progressive science fiction in an R&B space. Janelle Monáe has an incredible voice. She's a really interesting songwriter. There's touches of jazz and big band and psychedelia and like stuff that sounds like 40s Disney's kind of 50s Disney's tunes as well. It's a big kind of mishmash. The story, it's about droids in the future and kind of standard science fiction-y stuff, but it's approached from a completely different direction as, you know, the standard like Coheed and Cambria or Muse kind of science fiction epic. Hard to follow the story, doesn't matter. You got some awesome songs. You got, you know, something like Locked Inside, which has touches of like Stevie Wonder, Mushroom and Roses, which she sings through a vocoder, I think, or something crazy on her vocals, makes it real psychedelic and kind of proggy and early 70s, late 60s. And then you have Big Boy guessing on a track, Tightrope, funky hip hop, you know, there's a rap break in it. So I just love the way she's all over the place. There's some awesome guitar on it, of course, because, you know, an album needs guitar for me to like it. But some great, like Santana kind of Latin flavor, big horns, just everything that I love. Great bass, funky rhythms, R&B, some Prince kind of, you know, 80s sounds on it. And she has an incredible voice, and it's just completely different than anything I'd heard in that space. You know, the R&B world doesn't usually make albums like this. It's a 5-star, far above the competition, not even close. It's a great album. Nominees, locked in, dialed in, #1 album for the beginning of the 10s.
Right. I think that might be the first time I correctly predicted Joe's winner. And I thought that I was going out on a limb with that. I wasn't really sure of myself.
Yeah, I would have doubled down on Kanye for sure, but that's a great pick. You're off to a great start this decade. I like that album a lot. I think 4 stars is what I gave it. Yeah, which is great.
All right. My picks, 2010. Like I said in the intro, I think it's a really good year. A strong start to the decade. Some stuff that is not making my list that I like a lot. Here's to Taking It Easy by Phosphorescent. Life is Sweet, Nice to Meet You by Lightspeed Champion. So Runs the World Away by Josh Ritter, which was my #1 record in 2010, has now fallen out of my top 5. Shame Shame by Dr. Dog. Contra by Vampire Weekend. Hunger and Thirst by Typhoon, really cool record. Teen Dream by Beach House. A couple weeks ago in the comments, a few of the viewers were talking about my picks and how they stopped bothering to check them out because they weren't up their alley, which is fine. You don't have to take my suggestions, but if you've totally written off my selections and you're not checking out what I say anymore, maybe make an exception for this one. It's not on my list, but it's a straight up rock record that I think a lot of people will like. Majesty Shredding by Superchunk is so awesome. It's one of their best albums. It might be their best album. It rocks really hard, super infectious, great melodies, really catchy. Just an awesome, awesome rock record. Probably my #6 of the year. My top 5, though, are going to be Work by Shout Out Louds. They are a Swedish indie rock band who sound a lot like The Cure if The Cure were a Swedish indie rock band. It's nothing like monumental or groundbreaking, but it's so, so catchy. Every part is a hook. Simple guitar lines will get stuck in your head. The keyboard parts are catchy. It's just really, really well done. Then I've got another appearance from Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos with their album Buzzard. This one was a disappointment when it came out because they kind of stripped down the big 8-piece band. They consolidate to just your standard heavy guitar, drum, bass type of thing. And to me at the time, I thought they were kind of stripping away what made them special, but as time has gone on, it's just grown and grown on me. I think the songs are awesome, and I think the more direct approach really works. Then I've got High Violet by The National making my list. I think this is probably my favorite National record. I love it. I think it's great. Maybe they'll make another top 5. I don't know. But yeah, this one's awesome. Then my #2 back in 2010 was The Suburbs. And even though Josh Ritter falls off the list, they stay in the #2 spot because they got leapfrogged. Poor Arcade Fire probably will not get a win for me, but The Suburbs is awesome. Cram described it great. It's awesome, sprawling. It feels like living in the suburbs. It's just fantastic. Well, my number one for 2010 is Break Mirrors by Blake Mills. I mean, we've talked about him a lot on the channel. We've done record reviews and talked about him in the 2020 video. One of my favorite guitarists of all time. He's gone on to be an incredible producer for a lot of well-known artists, done some of my favorite records of the past decade as a producer, as a session guitar player. But this record is really great and really showcases his songwriting chops as well, which I don't think really get this great of a showcase anywhere else in his catalog. The songwriting here is so good. And the production is great as well. Very atmospheric, great guitar work. Everything about it's great. Some of the lyrics on it are just fantastic. And, you know, someone writing songs this good, you would think it would be just a songwriter. And the fact that he's so good at everything, like such a good producer, such a good guitar player, it's really, you know, incredible that the songwriting is so good as well. Just really, really great stuff.
Didn't see that coming. I thought for a second we might both have the Suburbs. Will we ever share an album again? Any of us?
Probably not as winners. Maybe on our list. We could line up again somewhere.
When's the last time we had double wins? Someone lining up with someone else for a win?
It was you and Joe with the Benz in 95. Me and you in 94 with Grace.
I thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen this year with the Suburbs. I thought you really loved it, Jason, but I guess not.
I do. It's my second favorite.
No, you don't. No, you
Blake
don't.
Mills ruined it for everybody, just like he ruins music.
Get out of here. All right, everybody, let us know what you think of 2010 and what your 5 favorite records or 10 favorite or however many you'd like to leave down in the comments. Tell us what you think of our lists. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, check the description for links to our social media accounts, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, everyone.